Hey, welcome to the demo for the Christmas Fussy Star Pillow. We are going to work through every step of this pillow. There is a free download right below this video if you want to join us in making it. This demo is going to include making the block for this pillow. It will include how to baste it, how to make your backing, how to put the whole pillow together, and then eventually how to bind it. This is a multi-part demo, so I'm going to have this broken up into different videos for you to watch. I will be giving you all the sizes for everything on this video, but if you prefer to look at a PDF, there's a free download for it right below this video. Okay, so part 2. We are going to baste this pillow. I'm going to talk to you about the different components, and then we're going to make our backing, which is going to be, an envelope closure, and we're going to sew that on. Then we're going to bind it. All right, so let's look at components of a pillow. All right, so I've gone ahead and finished one of these, or I've quilted one of these. So we made, the tops together in the last demo. And I have got inner backing. So this inner backing is not going to be shown on the outside of the pillow. So you can use any leftover fabric. This is actually a wide back scrap that I used. And so I want to encourage you to use fabric that you don't like anymore, or maybe you also have some wide back scrap or just whatever, because this just needs to be a backing so our stitches can be pretty. It doesn't have to be anything actually pretty. So this is our inner backing. This is our batting. I'm using 100% cotton. I love 100% cotton. And then, the pillow top. And you can see that I've already quilted this one. I did a little bit of ruler work in here and then a little bit there. And then I just did some toothpastey swirls there all around in the background. So when you're quilting this, just remember that you don't have to be over the top. I've really put some time into this one. You could be just going straight lines. And if you are somebody who is new to quilting, I would encourage you to even do some straight line sewing and then just follow your seams, because that alone would make a really pretty quilting on it, and it could be a much more understated than what I've got going on here. I've actually, on my star points, I don't know if you can see it, I've done a little bit of straight line work on those. So you can really go super simple here. It doesn't have to be all this free motion, but I am absolutely in love with free motion, so I want to use it and do it anytime I can, because it's just one of my favorite parts of quilting. Before we move on to that, we're going to baste one of these together. All right, I like to spray baste using 505 adhesive spray. I know a lot of people have opinions about spraying and stuff like that. This is what works for me, and this is what I'm going to continue using. If you want to pin baste, that's a great way to baste. If you you have another method of basting, that's fine too. If you like wearing a mask when you spray baste, that's fine. I do not, so I'm not going to. All right, so we're going to get our batting, and I want to show you something about this. When I'm making pillows, I like to use batting together tape. We sell this over at Meander and Make, and there's a link to it right below the video. But this means that I can take scraps and just kind of make my batting. That way I don't have to cut a huge piece for a pillow. This is my favorite way of doing pillows, is to do this. Let me show you what this looks like. Here is what you get with that batting together tape, and all you do is put two pieces of batting together, and you place this tape over the seam, and then you just iron it, and that's it. Sell this over at Meander and Make, and I have a whole demo of how to use this tape. If you are interested in that demo, I'm going to put a link below the video. All right, so here is what you need for this step. All right, you're going to need a 29-inch piece of batting. It doesn't have to be perfectly 29. I know mine's not. I just kind of winged it. But I know it's pretty close to 29 inches. You're also going to need a 29-inch piece of inner backing. Now, again, if you've got 28, if you've got 27, that's good too. Our pillow is 24 inches, so I like to have a little bit of leeway, in case it moves during the quilting. So this is why I always add, 5 to 6 inches. I usually add 5 on pillows and 6 on quilts. But you can see that I've got mega wiggle room here. So you could actually be a little bit less than that 29 inches. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our batting right side down, and we're gonna put our inner backing right side up, and we're gonna try to line it up with this batting. And I'm gonna smooth it out, make sure it lines up pretty good. Let's see, let me redo. Okay, so just like that. And since I'm spray basting, I'm gonna peel this back and just give it a little spray. And then I'm gonna smooth my inner backing on it just like that. Slide it up. Oop. Peel this up. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm kind of smoothing down and then smoothing to the sides. That is my technique. Okay, and then we're gonna flip the whole thing over. And we're gonna do the same thing, but we're grabbing our block now. All right, so here is my block. I'm gonna try to center it on this quilt sandwich best I can. But again, I'm not gonna stress too much because this is never gonna be seen except for by you. Okay, so same thing. I'm gonna peel my block back and spray. And then smooth. All right, I'm gonna pull this up and then peel this back. All right, so that's all there is to the basting step. So now go ahead and quilt as you will. Whatever you want to do is fine. Minimal, maximum, whatever you have it. And I'm going to do that to this one, but for demo purposes, I'm going to just put this to the side. And I'm going to show you how to trim up. All right, so once you have your pillow quilted, you're going to take your rotary cutter and ruler. You're going to line up the edge of your pillow top with the edge of your ruler as best you can, and then trim away that excess inner backing and batting. And then I just kind of work my way around the pillow top doing that. All right, so all trimmed up, nice and neat, and looks like a mini quilt. And you could just turn it into a mini quilt and put it on your wall. So, or a table topper, maybe. Lots of things to do. You could just bind it and be done with it at this step. But we're actually going to turn these into pillows. So let's move on to our backing fabric. All right, so now that we have our fabric strip cut, so this is 24.5 inches by width of fabric, we're just going to open it up. All right, and you're going to cut a 21-inch piece. So this first part of my my backing is measuring 21 inches by 24.5 inches. And then for the remaining piece, I'm going to flip it around, and now I'm going to cut a 12-inch piece. All right, and now we have our two pieces. Time to go to the pressing mat. All right, so backing. Here is what we're doing. We are going to finish our backing and we have two pieces. One of them, you know, as you know, is a lot bigger than the other one. Our two pieces are gonna have these nice clean edges. It's going to be envelope closure, and this is a part of the pillow that, you know, goes on the back. It's how we get our pillow in, and this is going to show, so you want to make this as nice and tidy as you can. So here's what we're doing. Let's do it together. All right, so we're going to grab our backing and we're going to put it right side down. Remember, we have two pieces of backing, and I'm just going to stagger these so I can see both of them and do them all at the same time. All right, and we are going to eyeball about a 1/4 inch seam. It's actually probably a little bit larger. If you have a measuring stick or a ruler here that you want to use, that's fine, but I just tend to eyeball this, and we're going to press this down. And we're going to try to be consistent with it, but again, I'm eyeballing it, so it may not end up being perfect, but it's going to end up being good enough. And then once we have that pressed down, we're going to do it one more time on the same piece, and this is going to give us that nice clean edge. All right, so that's one piece done, and I'm going to do the other piece. Here is what that looks like up close. And what we're going to do now to make it look like this is we're going to go sew as close to the edge of that fold as we can get, because we don't want a giant lip here, right? So I'm going to sew all the way across here, and then I'm going to do the second one just like it. All right. And if you didn't already, you can increase your stitch length here. It can be bigger than, you know, what you use to piece with it. I actually forgot to do that, but you can see the tension because of that. So just like when we, in our part one, when we were working on the block, we're going to just set this seam so that, you know, we can decrease that tension and make sure our backing fits a little bit better. All right, hey, back and quilted. And we're going to put that backing on this quilt top. So let's put this face down. So we've got our inner backing face up. You may not know this unless you have made a pillow top before, but when you quilt something, it changes its size slightly, sometimes by a lot. And I ran into this on my last pillow, and I pretty much ran into this almost every pillow I've ever made. The more quilting, the more shrinking. And then that's going to be even more after I wash it. But for right now, it is an issue because of backing for this. So on a quilt, we don't run into this because, you know, all we got to do is bind it and we're ready. But we're putting this backing pieces on here, so we are going to run into it this time. But I'm going to show you how to work around it. All right, so I want to make sure Santa is in the right direction. We're going to grab our smaller piece so it looks like this. And you're going to put that right side facing up. It's going to be the wrong size this direction. So we're going to focus instead on this side, and this bottom. So I'm going to line up the edge of this right here in this corner and get it all flush as good as I can get it. And I'm not going to worry about that top because, again, it's the wrong size because my quilt pieces have shrunk. I've tried cutting my backing later, but for some reason it doesn't always shrink the same amount. So I feel like we should just leave it the way I do it here. Once we got this organized, we're going to put that larger piece, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're doing it on this corner. So I'm going to line that up. It's very important that your pieces are flush with the edge of your quilt top or your pillow top. That's going to be the part where I see and I sew around it. So I do want to spend some time making sure it's just so. I don't want, you know, I don't want it hanging this way too much or hanging down here too much. Once I got it, I'm going to grab my pins, and I'm going to pin in particular these corners. So this one and this one here. I want to make sure that those are both getting pinned down, because as I maneuver my quilt or my pillow, they could easily fall out. So make sure that you're getting this piece and this piece pin down, just so. And then I'm gonna pin along the bottom of this pillow. Put as many pins as you feel comfortable putting or not putting. We're all a little different there. All right, then I'm gonna pin this side, but I'm not gonna pin, I'm gonna leave maybe this much, right? So I'm gonna pin all of this. You can see I haven't gone all the way to the top. Do not wanna go all the way to the top. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same thing over on this side. Now, if you turn this whole thing over, you can see how it's too long. And again, I don't want to change the size of these pieces because this is a different shrinkage compared to the previous pillow. So I want to just leave it this way. But I am going to trim this off. I can't sew this backing on until these pieces are accurate. So grab my ruler, grab my rotary cutter, and we're just going to trim this edge of the backing off. And then now when we flip it over, now we can pin across this top and know that our backing is the correct size. So pins, I'm gonna again make sure that I pin those flaps first. So I'm all pinned. That may have looked a little bit inefficient, like I could have cut that piece a ½ inch shorter and things would have worked out. But it doesn't always, it's not always a ½ inch. So I like to do it this way. We cut our backing the same size as our quilt top came out. The reason that it's not that size anymore is because we quilted it, and that's just how it is. All right.